Hello everybody and welcome back to the Integrity Botanicals YouTube channel. Coming at you guys today, per your request, with a little video about some primers and powders that Integrity Botanicals carries. Some that will help make your makeup lay nicer and also increase the longevity of your makeup. And some of these also provide some sunscreen protection, so it's nice to have a two-in-one sort of step. So I'm going to start with the ones that have SPF. Just so you know, could you wear these for the nighttime? Sure, but if you're taking flash photography, I wouldn't recommend these because that does flashback and it can leave a white cast on your face when you take it with flash. Anyways, first and foremost, this one is actually just a straight up sunscreen, but if you've heard me talk about this before, it is the perfect base for makeup, and it's none other than the Josh Rosebrook Nutrient Day Cream. This is SPF 30, so this comes in both tinted and non. This one here is just the regular. I love it because, like I said, the texture is amazing. It leaves this sort of satiny finish on the skin, so if you do have oily skin, it almost acts as like an extra barrier that the oil is gonna have to break through, so you don't have to worry about that as much with your makeup. So you're gonna see when I rub it in, it almost like goes to like a powdery finish, but not really. It just really gives the makeup something to stick to, so that, like I said, it acts as an extra barrier for the oil to have to break through, as well as increase the longevity because the makeup is going to adhere to it. Love that one. And again, a good SPF, you should always be applying that in the daytime. Next up, I have the Hint Beauty Sun Prep. This one is very similar to their Skin Prep, which I'm gonna mention in a minute. This one just also has an SPF 30. So this one is more like a serum. Here, let me do a little pump on the back of my hand. This is a new bottle here. I have tried this before though. This one's more serum-y, so it's a little more liquidy and light. You can see when I rub that in, it just kind of spreads farther. So this one, like I said, is more, I guess, geared towards dry skin, I would say, because it acts as that sort of serum-like texture. But since it's so light, don't run away from it if you have oily skin. But if out of the two, I would pick this one for oily skin and this one for more dry skin. And one that I think works for everybody, and I love this one because this one will act more as like a pore filler, because it does feel like it has a little bit more of like a silica texture to it. Is the Kypris Heliotropic Pot of Shade. And you guys know that I absolutely love this. So this comes in a jar, so you just use a little spatula to get it out hygienically. This one is stickier and thicker, sort of like glue. And then you're gonna see how easily this spreads back and forth. Again, it has more of that silica texture. So if you do have some pore issues around the nose, on the chin, go ahead and pat that in right there, and then you can smooth it into the rest of the face. It gives a really nice smooth finish that helps the makeup glide on and also helps the makeup adhere to it. Anything that sort of blocks that oil and provides a smooth canvas really helps the makeup stick to it. Now for some ones that do not have any sunscreen in them but are fabulous all the same. So these you could use night, day, whenever you want. Same for those, just be mindful with flash photography. If you have dry skin, it's so important to note how just a regular facial oil can be your primer. So a lot of people with dry skin have problems with the makeup lasting, because when your skin's very dry, your skin is drinking up the makeup like, please, like, feed me, like, I need some hydration. So it's absorbing the makeup, so that's why your blush disappears. You have patchiness in your foundation. Same thing with oil. If your skin's overly oily, the makeup is literally dripping off, and then when you go to blot it, the makeup's gone. So if you have dry skin, oils, some that I love that absorb in really quickly, one of which being the Moon Brightening Youth Serum. This is great for hyperpigmentation and a number of other things, including anti-aging, but it's also a fabulous makeup base. So you're getting those skincare properties in, but this absorbs really quickly. And I don't have this one on me. I've tried it. I do have it. I'm just not sure where. So I'm going to include a picture. The Lina Hanson Global Face Serum. Both of these just absorb so quickly. If you already have a favorite that absorbs really quickly, feel free to use that as well if you have dry skin. But both the owner of Lina Hanson, Lina, and the owner of Moon Skincare, I believe her name is Moonemi, they are both makeup artists, and they use those oils as makeup bases because they apply so quickly. And I don't know about you guys, but if it's good enough for a professional makeup artist, it's good enough for me. So a great dry skin option, and one again that's good for everybody, acts more like a serum. I have tried this in the past, but I just have a sample right now. This is the Skin Prep from Hint. So again, Very serum-y. This one even more serum-y than the first one. Than the Sun Prep. You can see it's very translucent. And it just glides on the skin. Prepping the skin is really priming the skin. So whether that be a moisturizer that you really like, just putting this on before makeup makes the makeup sit so much better. I feel like uncomfortable if I don't put something moisturizing on my face before I apply makeup. It just doesn't not sit the same at all, especially if you have dry skin like myself. So those are some primer options for you guys. There really is so many for different skin types, and I've addressed them all. So if you have any further questions, like I said, I just want to touch on these briefly. Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to help you find something that really works for you and helps your makeup last longer. So this is just generally a rule of thumb. This doesn't mean that your makeup's gonna stay on 10 hours longer, but it's definitely gonna help if you find that you have dry skin and it's disappearing, or if you have oily skin and it's sliding off. Again, for oily skin, setting the makeup is so important, okay? Especially given, you know, we just were out of the summertime. If you're having problems with it wearing, that really affects it. But just on a day-to-day basis, if you're wearing your makeup for a long period of time, it starts to disappear, and powder, setting it, locking it in place helps so much. So I want to start off with two translucent powders, both by Well People. One is for dry skin, one is for my more oily skin girls. So you can use these if you have any skin tone. Just be mindful, if you do have darker skin tone and you apply a lot, it can leave a sort of a little bit of a cast, but just do a nice light dusting and anyone can use it. So for my dry skin girls, Bio-Brightener powder. This powder is amazing from Well People. It just is really smooth, glides on like a dream. Just feels like not much, but it will take the shine away. But it's sort of like the Hourglass ambient powders in the way that it doesn't completely dry out and make the skin look matte. It's gonna erase that sort of excess oiliness, but it's gonna give a really sort of radiant finish to the skin. It has no shimmer particles in it, nothing like that. It just has the perfect amount. It's like the perfect in-between. When you're super dry, you don't want a hyper matte finish. You want like a demi matte, and this does it for you. Fantastic. I use that on a regular basis to both set my under eyes and the rest of the face. And for my more oily girls, we have the Realist Invisible Setting Powder. This one to me seems to have more of a silica texture. It reminds me of, it's much thinner in consistency as well. It is like a total dupe for the Makeup Forever setting powder, the HD setting powder, if you guys are familiar with that. You can see even when I go to pick it up, it's really light and airy, and when I go to rub it in, it's just like, do you see how like smooth it is back and forth? Really great for just having your bronzer, everything go on nice and smooth. Great for setting those under eyes, doing the baking method I really like with this powder, because it just sort of makes perfect smoothness, makes your skin nice and matte. I am using this powder today, switching it up a little bit because I have a lot of blemishes, and I really wanted to make sure that it didn't move. So oily skin girls, use this to lock your powder into place. It is amazing. And one last loose powder, again, this one is probably gonna be more geared towards my dry skin girls because it's geared towards radiance. This is the Hint Beauty Lumi A Radiance Boosting Powder. And this is quite interesting. Some people like to use this as a highlight on its own. Some people like to use a light dusting all over the face. And you can do either of those. This does have a more strong yellow undertone. So this is just what it looks like right there. And we're gonna rub it out into the skin. You can see it imparts a beautiful subtle radiance. So if you have very dry skin, you could go ahead and use this. You see how it's picking up the light right there? If you have super dry skin, I would go ahead and use this. I think if you're overly fair, you wouldn't be able to use this as anything other than maybe a highlighter on the face. But if you have made it to deep tone skin and it's dry, this would be beautiful. If you have deep skin, again, would be great to highlight the under eyes. That sort of yellow tone is very, very brightening. But I love this because it doesn't dry out the skin. And like I said, this actually imparts radiance. The Bio-Brightener gives a demi-matte finish. This is actually radiant. So we have matte, demi-matte, and radiant with the Hint Beauty. And to wrap this up, I wanted to mention two pressed powders. Both of these are good for adding additional coverage and just keeping the makeup in place as well, of course. So again, dry skin girls, oily skin girls, I have one for you next. Don't you worry. And a lot of these, I'm just saying it's more geared towards dry skin, but you can use it if you're oily too. Just think about your skin concerns, and if you have more questions, do leave them in the comments down below. First one, we have the Baked Foundation in Light from Hanson. This is a very light coverage, so I like to use this to add additional coverage to my foundation since it is baked. Baked products, if you ever tried any of the Hanson blushes, stuff like that, you'll see they do have a natural radiance to them as well. It's just the way they're made. It's sort of like that Well People Demi Matte finish because there's no shimmer, there's no sparkle, there's no glitz. It's just a very natural skin-like finish. It's gorgeous. They do have 3 shades. I hope they do expand it, but if you can find one that works for you, this powder is fantastic. And that baked consistency never has it looking powdery on the skin, which I love. Or you could go ahead and wear this on its own on a day-to-day basis. I find the longevity on that is pretty good on its own. And one that's more heavy duty, this one also has SPF, and this is also the one I'm gonna recommend for my more oily skin girls. This is the Healthy Flawless Skin Foundation Powder from 100% Pure. So yes, this is a powder foundation, but since I personally don't love powder foundations, I use these in strategic areas to add coverage. And what I mean by like strategically using it is that I'll take a dense, sort of just buffing brush, any one you have will do, pat it in there, and I'll typically go around the chin, around the nose, and sometimes if the powder is light enough, this one is, I'll take it right here in the inner corners of my eye because I get so blue there that I'm like, I need more, and I want to set it. So you go ahead and do that. Or you can just go ahead and stamp the whole face with it if you're oily. Really, really lock it into place. And again, this one is going to add coverage though. So if you don't want coverage, go ahead with the Well People. But if you do, this is a fantastic option. All right, you guys, so that is it. Quick rundown of everything you use as a primer, as a powder, this, that, and the other. If I forgot anything, I will make sure to list it in the description box down below and write a little bit about it so you guys know who and what it's good for. I really hope you guys found this helpful. Like I said, this will really help increase your makeup's longevity, just make it sit nicer on the skin, whatever your problem is. These really do help, and a lot of them are a 2-in-1 step. If you can get your SPF in there too, how amazing is that? Especially with this powder foundation. If it's a quick day, all over the face, good to go. So if you guys like this video and you enjoyed the content that I create, please do give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe. I upload new videos here 2 times per week, every single Monday and Friday. And if you want to shop anything, each and every product with the price and the link is going to be in that description box down below, along with all of our social media links if you want to keep up with us there. Sometimes we do special promotions, sometimes we do giveaways. You never know, so you want to make sure you're following us. But thank you so much for the love and support as always, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye!